we try to assess, address any issues that an ex-felon, someone who's made some changes in their life. It doesn't always have to be a felon. It could be someone who's come off the streets that went through rehab, treatment centers, and whatnot, and they're trying to make some changes and they're adjusting to a new way of living. Okay. And one of the topics I want to talk about is some of the most hardest things that you're going to experience early on, whether you're re-entering from parole, re-entering from rehab, all these different things. And the first thing that comes to mind is temptation at times. Temptation and putting yourself in bad situations. You know, one of the common things I've seen from those who've gone out and go back to old behaviors is at first they may be solid, you know, working, striving hard, staying away from everybody, being proactive in their kids' lives and whatnot. And then you slowly start to see them, you know, associate here and there. You know, you start to see them maybe on a Friday night, they're going over there and they're getting high and they're like, well, I got to go see the lady, man, real quick. I hope she doesn't notice. Next you know, they're running around picking up guns and they catch a case about a month later. Where 2 months before they were foreman of the union. That kind of stuff happens. And so I say this is one thing. I talked to a friend that I known for about 35 years, 36 years. And he told me this. He goes, look, always put yourself around those that have just as much to lose as you do. Because when you do that, you know they're always going to keep your best interest at heart. And that's really key there, you know, because there's another saying. If you stick around that barbershop, eventually you're going to get a haircut. So refraining from the temptation of needing the need to be social, to have interactions. A lot of times we go back to people that we're used to being around. And sometimes we got to take a step back and say, okay, how's their life going? You know, are they really making positive changes in their life, or are they going back down that same cycle? You know, and that's key. You know, that's one of the key things for anybody in change is being able to adapt and not make the same mistakes you once made. Not everybody can do that. Okay. In addition to that, right, one thing that you may encounter is issues of disrespect, of what you take as disrespect. This could be in the workplace. This could be in your relationship. This could be with people you just met, old friends that have never been to prison. See, in prison, respect is a big deal. You know, there's no room for error in prison. You have to conduct yourself in a professional manner almost every day. You know, show people common courtesy and no boundaries. Whereas when you get out there to the streets, you start working places, some of these people have never been to prison. Some of them bring their problems at home to work. Sometimes they just have an attitude. Sometimes they are prejudging you. You know what I mean? And these are the type of situations where you can get into potential arguments, fired from a job and whatnot. So when you encounter these type of situations, you know, you got to refrain. You got to always try to sit there and realize that the person that you're talking to, there's a difference between deliberately trying to do something or them not knowing. And so you got to weigh between the two. Now, it doesn't mean to sit there and be anybody's punching bag. Hell no. But pick your battles wisely. You know what I'm saying? Try to calculate it. Don't act haste with emotions, because I've seen people lose their jobs because they get in a situation where they're feeling a little upset and they get froggy real quick. Whereas a normal citizen in society maybe knows and understands what they have to lose. You know, some people try to push your buttons, man. You know, I had that at a job I was working at where I finally got pissed at this lady because she was always rude. I told her to go fuck herself. You know, and that didn't end up too well for me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I been working for the company for 17 months, was a fucking, you know, I won all kinds of awards there. It still did not help me out. You know, even though she acted the way, she was rude, disrespectful towards me, it didn't matter. And so sometimes we got to sit there and understand what battles to pick. You know, because you're going to encounter a lot of disrespect that it's not only their fault, because it's not their fault because some of them just don't know any better. You know, like when you go places and people put their hand over your plate or something like that. You know, in prison, that's a no-no. You get stabbed for something like that. On the streets, they don't have that same type of mental state. So it's about adjusting to certain things that maybe in your past or in a prison setting, you know, would maybe kick off some issues. It's about withholding yourself from acting how you would act in prison. See, that's about change right there. It's no longer being that same person you once were. You don't have to live with the confines of a prison setting out there in the streets, because you're not locked up no more. Because if you're doing that, you're letting it control you. You're locked into only one type of fragment of mind, and that is that you're in a prison type of setting. You have to act accordance to me, or you have to respect me and whatnot. I had problems early in my relationships because of that. Because I had expectations from prison of how I expected you to talk to me. So when they come out of character, out of attitude, it's kind of hard to deal with, you know? Because you're hearing shit like, man, fucking someone talk to me like that, I'll fucking put some steel up in your neck. You think like that, you know? And especially in the workplace when you're dealing with like young kids or whatnot, and they don't always know any better. Now, there's nothing wrong with pulling them to the side and getting at them. You know, maybe get on a little tough. You know what I'm saying? But don't throw your career, your job, your relationships away just based upon someone who doesn't have an understanding or comprehension of what you've been through and what you expect. See, that's the problem sometimes in society. And this goes for anybody. Is sometimes we put the expectations that we have in others. This is what we expect you to act. You can't control how somebody's going to act. You know what I'm saying? You can control whether you choose to accept it or not and how you deal with it from there. Now, that's not to say fucking go quit your job because John Doe over here is acting like an asshole. Nah. You find ways to try to wiggle around that, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's the best advice I can give anybody when it comes to this. You know? The other things you may encounter is the hardships of trying to obtain employment, being paid your worth. There's nothing worse than having a job where you're busting your ass. You don't get no fucking raise. You see other people get promoted. Hey, this is what I tell everybody. If it's not working for you, find something else. But do the best of your ability until you find that next job. And never become complacent. Never become stagnated. When an opportunity presents itself, capitalize. The same way in the dope game, the same way in prison politics, when the opportunity is there, how you take advantage of it, you got to do that same thing on the streets. You know, that's another kind of things. These are the kind of things you're going to experience, man, is reintegrating into society. How they take people from the shoes, they reintegrate them back to the yard, is the same thing how you're going to deal with the general public. It gets hard, it gets difficult, I know, but there's a way and there's a will around it. You just got to continue to proceed forward. And some of the other things that you may experience in life is the streets are a lot more, if you have your ears to the street a little too much, you may get caught up in what you're hearing behind it. You know, the social media part too as well. Limit your social media intake. You know what I'm saying? Social media will drive you crazy. I know. I live it 24/7. You know, don't get wrapped up in it. You know, don't expose yourself. The minute you just involve yourself and expose yourself too much, you never know what could be redirected towards you. You know what I'm saying? If you maintain a focus and goals that you have in mind, you can reach those goals. You know, but it's up to you and how you wish to pursue it. So there's going to be tons of obstacles in life once you get out on parole or come out of a recovery center. But you got to take it one step at a time, but forward. There's no sense in taking one step forward and 10 steps back. One step forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. You're never going to achieve where you need to be as a person. I'm going to leave you with this. Every day, take the liberty in yourself to seek and hope to find your true authentic self. And as you grow up every day, you evolve into that person. With that said, it's your boy Flacco, Felons and Men Podcast. I'm out.